It is Wednesday, December 4th. I am Jarom Jordan. What a show we have for you today as we talk about the playoff ranking reaction, football signing day, Kalani Sitake in studio, reaction to men's hoops loss at Providence as mentioned. But let's give you the hard-hitting news. The new Pop-Tart flavor is out for the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which BYU might go to. Nicole Auerbach weighing in. The flavor returning from the vault for the Pop-Tarts Bowl is the Frosted Cinnamon Roll, which joins Frosted Hot Fudge Sundae and Frosted Wild Berry as three mascots this year. Game MVP will pick which edible mascot or flavor to eat. If the Pop-Tarts Bowl didn't give you what you felt like you needed, I don't know what else you want. Three edible options for a mascot to eat after a bowl game? I don't know. Is BYU headed to the Pop-Tarts or perhaps the Alamo Bowl? It certainly feels like that, given that those were the two bowl reps I at least saw in the press box Saturday night against Houston for Cougar football. So we'll see what happens. But with that in mind, all rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
The talent level at BYU is the best it's ever been. And now that talent needs to gel as a team.
BYU, I think, has had a season that, while disappointing in some ways, I think should be seen as one of the best performances that we've ever seen out of BYU.
All right, BYU moves up a spot from 19 to 18 in the college football playoff rankings last night. What do we make of this? I personally looked at three teams that I felt like BYU should be ranked ahead of at this point. Like we talked about, BYU was not going to be in. They were not even going to be on the bubble. They were going to be off the bubble. I thought they should be on the bubble. So here are the three teams that I think BYU should be ahead of: Miami, Iowa State, and Clemson. Miami, BYU has the same record, a stronger strength of schedule. In fact, BYU, like Miami, has lost two of the last three. But Miami, no top 25 wins. BYU has a top 10 win and better strength of schedule by 11 spots. I guess the power of Cam Ward is worth 6 spots. Also, the offense for Miami is number one in efficiency, so I understand that part. But if you look at like the whole body of work and resume, I'm confused by that one. Iowa State as well. I know Iowa State wins a tiebreaker, but that has nothing to do with why they should be ranked higher than BYU, in my opinion. 68 strength of schedule compared to BYU's 44. No wins against the top 25. No top 10 wins either. And then Clemson has 3 losses and a lesser strength of schedule by 9. Also coming off a loss. Also, this thought, if BYU was 11-1 as an independent this year, let's say that Big 12 never happened, BYU played a couple of good games, right, and lost one but won the rest, they'd probably be in the field last night. I thought that being in the Big 12 would help BYU in a situation like this, but the entire league of the Big 12 has been sort of decimated by the parity, whereas the SEC is sort of rewarded for it. Yet, I acknowledge and understand that in men's basketball, BYU benefits from what the SEC and the Big Ten also benefit from in football. Because in men's basketball, BYU's net is going to be awesome because they play this crazy awesome strength of schedule. So, in summary, I feel like BYU should have been probably 3 spots higher, 15, but out. They weren't going to be in, as Spencer now joins me. But also, I thought the influence of the Big 12 would be greater, that, hey, a 2-loss BYU in a power conference would be better than, say, an 11-1 independent. I think if BYU was independent and 11-1, they would have been in the field last night.
It depends on the strength of schedule and who they had played, for sure. But I think that
Boise State and Indiana, I look at them and go,
as long as you play a super high-quality team, even if you lose, if you're competitive with that really quality team, and then you just beat the crap out of the rest of your schedule, then you can be like Boise State and Indiana.
Indiana did one of those two things. They played the one team. They weren't competitive. So even if they weren't competitive, just because you're in the Big Ten.
Because of that power conference. Well, what I'm saying is, as an independent, because you don't have the fallback of a conference like the Big Ten, you have to beat everybody and be competitive in that one loss. A la Boise State, a team that's not in a Power 4 conference. That is the formula.
They played Oregon tough. They got lucky that Oregon was the team that they played, by the way. Because what if they had played Oregon State this year instead?
They did play Oregon State, too.
Well, I mean, like, that was the only
That was the big game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which Oregon State.
No, they benefited from that. No question.
I also thought BYU was in a Power 4 league. BYU's in the other two. There's the Power 2, and then there's the Big 12 and the ACC.
There's the middle ground, then there's the group of 6.
There's clearly a divide. Has been. We probably need to come up with a different phrase than Power 4, because there's not a lot of power in that, unfortunately.
I had multiple people ask me last night, well, what's the best case scenario for BYU this weekend in conference championship games? And I said, well, one, there's no path for BYU to get in. It's just it's not happening.
There's no.
But they say, okay, well, what about best ranking? It's like, honestly, you need to root for just massive blowouts. You should hope that Penn State gets absolutely demolished by Oregon.
Shock blowouts.
Yes.
Yes.
And maybe UNLV, if you're looking out for the Big 12, you're hoping that UNLV beats Boise State so that the Big 12 can have one of those buys and they're not relegated to that 12 seed and playing a road playoff game in the first round.
But also, that doesn't benefit BYU. So,
no,
okay.
but shock blowouts could get BYU to as high as maybe 16, 15 at best.
Okay,
if that makes you feel better, great. But there's not much BYU can do.
There's not a massive added.
You can't pick who you're going to root for in the Big 12 championship, though. So I think I know how most BYU fans
isn't Iowa State
feel in that
BYU
regard.
Fans? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, men's hoops loses 83-64 at Providence. Are there any long-term concerns from last night's loss?
No, it's way too early. I have spoken with you on several occasions. I've been screaming this from the rooftops. There are going to be some absolute duds from this team early in the season where we think, what happened? BYU is way too talented for that to happen. What's going on? When a team is so new and has so many new pieces, not just with players, but with the entirety of the staff and the support staff, and they're playing their first true road game. And frankly, we probably overlooked the fact that BYU had very little turnaround time after San Diego and then had to get on a plane and go to the East Coast and play in their first true road test as this team. I should have bought into that more.
Yeah.
We didn't know that Providence's best player was going to be back and in the roster or in the lineup as well. His 15, 16-point-a-game score. So there are a number of things there, but it's way too early to freak out about BYU basketball. It's just way too early. So no long-term concerns. Now, if BYU loses to Wyoming, Florida Atlantic.
Fresno State next. Florida A&M.
Florida A&M on December 20th.
I was going to say FAU has been in the Final Four recently.
That's a decent game. No, it's way too early. All right,
not overly concerned.
Our question of the day. Jarom outlined very sound logic when it comes to the college football playoff rankings and why BYU fans are frustrated. Basketball laid an egg in Providence last night. It happens with new teams. But what was more surprising for you yesterday? Was it BYU's college football playoff ranking at number 18? I know a lot of you thought it would be at least 17. Or BYU basketball's performance as a team in that road contest at Providence. At PHNX Coug on X says, basketball. College football playoff ranking was expected to be depressing, but I was hoping the basketball team would cheer me up. They did not.
Yeah, that'd be my answer as men's basketball. I thought that BYU would win the game. So, yeah, it was disappointing to be down by a significant margin late in that game.
Nobody expected Yegor Deming to struggle the way that he did.
0 for 10 was shocking. Something was up with his knee, by the way. They put a sleeve on it in the second half.
He wasn't, clearly not feeling like himself, injury related. And maybe the pressure of everything got to him. The NBA scouts and all the news of him jumping up draft boards. And
perhaps, but you have off nights. You just don't expect 0 for 10.
Sure.
Like a 2 for 10 or something, perhaps. But, yeah, he went to the free throw line, knocked down a bunch of free throws. But